got perhaps the best match of this Group D of the Masters Coliseum. In the bottom right-hand corner, the red Terran player is Cure. In the top left, our blue Zerg from Dragon Kaiser Gaming. It is Dark. Where did my observer go? I think it's this man over here. Thank you, official Masters Coliseum observer. You have been a hero for us this week so far. That's going to be having our barracks going down with gas on the way up, getting this set to rumble. Kira and Dark both competing at the very top of this group at the moment. Kira is 4-0. A win here guarantees him first place. A win for Dark. Well, Dark still has to play Ryung, but if you imagine that Dark's going to be favored against Ryung and he gets a win there, this more or less is the match that would just decide first place in the group. So, assuming that Dark versus Ryung kind of goes as expected down the line, we probably expect this to be the battle for first place and to get a little bit of a better seed. Chance to avoid Serral as your first round opponent, for example. Definitely some benefits to be had when you look at all that. May goal next is be able to revive 6 probes. If Toss loses 12 probes in the early game, it's super hard to come back from that. Right, but then, I mean, the argument is, why are Protoss players losing 12 probes in the early game? Like, I can understand Widow Mine drops are frustrating, but at the point in the game where Widow Mine drop... Like, if a Widow Mine drop kills 12 probes at 5 minutes in the first Widow Mine drop of the game, you're kind of doing something wrong as the Protoss player, because you're kind of meant to know that's coming at that point in time. I mean, it's the same for any race. Like, you know, if an Oracle... I don't know what, but, like, say an Oracle shows up and kills, like, 8 workers of a Terran player, they are also in a very bad position. It's not just Protoss that suffer from losing workers early. It's just Protoss seem to lose workers more often than other races. So maybe the issue is giving them a few more viable defensive options, more so than anything else, to make sure that they can defend more consistently. But I don't really sympathize with, like, the first double Widow Mine drop killing 8 workers and being like, oh, that sucks. Because to me, that first double Widow Mine drop is A, predictable, and B, the kind of thing that you've just got to watch for when you're playing StarCraft 2. I can understand it when the game's more hectic and there's a lot going on, it's a more random timing, and suddenly a Widow Mine drop comes in and kills your workers. But at the start, when you're only really protecting 2 mineral lines of probes, I think at the top level, that sort of stuff it's just a massive mistake. And it happens, because it's obviously not easy to do, but it's just a massive mistake. You can't let those things happen if you want to be a competitive Protoss player, and I don't think it's a bad thing that things like that exist. Well, obviously, I'm talking at the pro level. At a low level, it's freaking frustrating, I get that, but I don't know, man, like, I feel like those things are just part of StarCraft, and we can't really change a lot of those things necessarily without just, completely fundamentally changing the way the game works. Mules backfill that if a Terran takes damage, but they don't back. No, because then what does Chrono Boost do? Chrono Boost also just helps you rebuild your probes faster if you fuck up and lose them, right? If that's the argument we're going to play, Protoss can actually recover from damage way better than anyone else. If a Terran loses 8 SCVs, they still lose 8 SCVs. Because they were going to have the Mules anyways. The Mules don't just fill the gap. Protoss players are meant to be 10 workers ahead in the matchup because Chrono Boost puts them 10 workers ahead, and Terran's only okay because they have Mules to make up that difference. That's how the game is balanced. You can't just say that, Mules basically mean that Terran don't actually take damage, because that's just not true. So, yeah, it's just so much more complicated than that, and that's what gets obviously very intriguing when we kind of have all these different things going on, discussions, and so on and so forth. Like, the economy of StarCraft 2 is actually very complicated, with how the different races work, and how different races can afford different things, and what their macro mechanics allow them to do, for example. It's very interesting. It's honestly why this game's so freaking good, because it's extremely complicated, and that's why it's extremely difficult to fix things in a balanced way and to keep the game balanced. I mean, it's honestly kind of incredible the game is as balanced as it is, and I know Protoss players aren't winning tournaments. But I've talked about this before, where I feel like, you know, as big a part of that is just the fact we don't have as many top-tier competitive Protoss players as we do of the other races. You know, we lost Zest, we lost Trap. You know, if this week Raynor, Serral, and Dark quit, do you not think Zerg would have a really tough time winning competitive events? Absolutely. If suddenly the 3 best Zerg players aren't playing anymore, and one of our best Protoss players in the world doesn't even play offline tournaments, you know, out of the 2 that are probably good enough to win. So I feel like there's so many factors involved than just straight up like looking at balance as well. Anyways, well, none of this has anything to do with this TVZ, guys. We really are sidetracked here, but a fun discussion nonetheless. Guys, the stream is a little bit laggy. This is us in game. It's one of those scenarios where, look, I just clicked the wrong button. Hang on. I think this is one of those scenarios where we're just getting a little bit of a bad connection to the Korean server. If the players say anything about lag or anything, we'll hop out. But generally, if we're below 500-ish ping, which we are right now, this is generally just something that we see that doesn't affect the players. Usually we have to be like 1K plus ping to really be affecting the players. So that's just one of those things. Probably next game we'll get a little bit of a better connection to Korea, and so the next game will probably be smoother for us. Some of our earlier games on Korea were fine and smooth. It's usually one of those things that just happens on a game-by-game basis. As the hatchery goes up at the front, a couple crew teamers will begin to go down. Just going to see our Roaches showing up. Our medevac going to be forced to lift up and back away. This medevac's trying to come out over to the sides as well. Not really going to find too much love or too much luck. It's going to have to lift off back away for the moment and try and come again another day. As our Roaches force this drop to lift off once more, Q is going to keep on going with those drops throughout. As Dark continues his way into the infestation pit, begins to build up the Spire as well, just getting all of that ready to go. And medevac's going to come back down to the bottom side of the map. Green's tanks, medevacs all joining up, couple of infestors coming out, the hive is on the way, Spire still coming through, Ling Speed coming up. We're going to see our Cyclone locking onto a Ravager for the moment. It's going to be seeing the Roaches, going to knock down this set of rocks, so it's going to open that up, and obviously this is going to give you some more aggressive options kind of directly across the map, so watching out for those as a bit of Roach Ravager comes across here as well for the moment. Just looking to poke around as best as possible. I think this is too defensive of a position. Sometimes this position gets broken for Terrans. To me, this is way too late a point of the game for it to really get broken down in any significant manner. Cyclone does snag a Roach kill over there, though. There's the lag from the stream of the feed. It's just literally my in-game... My in-game connection to Korea is just laggy. It's literally just that, guys. It's this is me in game. This is not like the clean feed or anything. This is just happens on Korea sometimes. There's nothing we can do about it anymore. That's just the state of the Korean server. Unfortunately, as Kyo comes pinging up a little bit, Roach Ravager going to get pushed back initially. It was just a little bit of back and forth as we start out. Great Spire on the way up on the side of Dark, so he will have some extra tech coming on for himself. It's pretty fast Great Spire, really. Faster than I was initially expecting it to look like, so we'll see how that goes. Fungals are pretty good onto those group of Marines. The tanks get siege, pushing back the Roach Ravager. I'm just going to be seeing the army of QA working up this right-hand side, going to get through a bunch of this creep spreads, picking through that. The rest of the Ling Ravager coming across as well. It's going to be seeing our tanks on sieging, resetting. Kua is on a push. He wants to try and get forward and punish here. These Broodlords cannot come soon enough to try and slow Kua down. No Fungal? Those units were super stacked up there. Fungal Growth would have been a killer moment to cast right then and there, but that just wasn't an option, so unfortunately it doesn't happen. And Dark is still in some trouble here. These tanks are just so dominating against his Roach army. 7 Broodlords. Kua sees them morphing in. He knows fine well he's kind of got to go now or never, but He's not going to get forward. Is he really going to keep on trying? Because at this stage, I feel like he might just have to turn back around. He's coming back up the right-hand side, getting to the top here. We do see the tanks getting siege. Fungal Growth landed on a little clump of Marines up there as well. Getting some good work done. The Broodlords begin to attack onto the siege tanks. So the tanks begin to take a whole bundle of damage. They're going to be taking some heavy shots. Also, do you see the Marines still trying to come through for whatever they may find? They're actually going to chase down the Ravagers. But building Vikings behind this, obviously Q is losing all of his siege tanks. The Broodlords look as though they will get the cleanup in the end of this. So as those Broodlords begin to get that cleanup, Q will have to just back away a little. Just for the moment, as we do have our Medivac still unloading over to the right-hand side. Kind of a fun hold from Dark. I'm just not sure how good it's going to be for him if Q gets a good amount of Vikings up as a response at this stage. And thank you, by the way, Piff GCR. 81-month resub. Thank you so much. Coming up to 7 years of subscribing. Thank you. As our game settles a little bit. He obviously backs away. Vikings coming out, even going to invest into that Ghost Academy as well, so giving himself some future options. We do have more spellcasters on the way from Dark as well, so it absolutely makes sense for Q to have some answers to those spellcasters. And just having his own ghosts, etc. really do help. Obviously just good for sniping as well. We know the snipes are also very potent in the later stages of the game. Urge come across, Medivac just lifts off. Backs away for a few moments here as well. It's just going to pull back for a little bit. We do have our real settling moments. Akira really wanted to do something. He wanted to get a lot done. He found a lot. He denied a bunch of bases. He put Dark down to 3 bases even, which is obviously not a lot to work off of as a Zerg. So he puts Dark down to 3 bases. The Broodlords finally do get the defense, and so Dark can continue onwards. Did Q do enough? I actually really feel as though Dark might have just taken so much damage that now as Q has built up a few more anti-Broodlord units, this next push might just be straight up unholdable for Dark because Q has just got too much of everything he needs. Both players will be maxed. I do quite like Q's army. I'm worried that Dark doesn't have a bank built up. I think that's going to be a pretty major issue. Parasitic bombs on the Vikings forced them to land. Now they aren't up in the sky hitting those Broodlords, as the Broodlings at the moment are not being respected. Here just goes attacking on into them. Gonna continue up for a little bit longer. Another tank in a siege. Corrosive Files coming down. And Broodling's taking some more damage here. Bio's gonna go stemming forward, splitting apart a little bit. EMP's coming down on the Infestors, wants to ensure there's no more fungal growths coming onto this army. Q are just standing there and fighting the Broodlords, taking a beating from the Thors, but is it enough? We're starting to lose DPS here on the Terran side of things, and the Broodlings are going to start making the distance up towards those siege tanks. That makes a big difference as well. Now the Bio turning back around. 13 roaches still coming out as Dark looks to reproduce into anything possible. Still trailing, not really trailing, but about 160 to 160 supply, which isn't exactly ideal. Tank shot goes off. Queen takes some damage. Just gonna snipe a Queen with that Ghost already. A few Hydras on the way out. +3 missiles and Carapace still coming through as our siege tank wants to be a little bit careful. Rocks do get knocked down right in the center there. Vikings overhead. Queen is gonna be there to push the Vikings back just a little bit. Ghosts coming out, a couple Hellbats coming through. Thor's on the way out as well. Still this army of Kua coming over this left-hand side, going to straight up kill this hatchery. Dark is on 5 bases at the moment. If you can, if he gets kept on 5 bases while Kua is currently on 5 and going to 6, it's obviously not going to be a pretty long game for him, but obviously a world where he should be able to stabilize out of that. Fire comes through, just gonna get a roach picked up, gonna see a couple of infestors down the right side. I'm gonna get a fungal on the retreating attempt. Again, there's just not a consistent answer to those Broodlords, and they are buying Dark all the time in the world. Lurker Den is on the way up, so he's continuing to give himself as much time as possible. A couple more snipes coming through. They can hit by the parasitic bomb again. They're taking a lot of damage. They're not going to last for a very long time. A couple Thors on the bottom right side are not really in range of the Broodlords either, so they're just hitting the ground army. It feels as though he can fight, though. He's dropping a bunch of snipes to take out the ground force, so it's only really the Broodlords after. In fact, a lot of Broods got caught in those snipes as well. We're still firing. A couple of Ghosts going to try and fight as well. A couple of Broodlords will be getting knocked down here. It looks as though Q is going to win the fight in the end. Man, these were some really fun fights. They were really extended fights, I think, is what made them so fun. Like, they really took a little while to resolve. Made this very entertaining stuff. Very enjoyable as our bio continues through. At this point, Reinforced and Hydras are probably not going to get the job done. GG says Dark. Really, really fun game. As that's going to be Cure winning game 1 of this best of 3. Like I said, potentially the decide up. As in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to start off with our blue Zerg from Dragon. Kaiser Gaming. This is going to be Dark. As in the bottom right, our red Terran player, we've got Cure. Alright, so Q is already proxying straight up just in the middle of the map here. He's going to get straight up aggressive. So Q going to bring the fire a little bit at the start of this one. Why do the observers change position every time, guys? Ay, ay, ay. Where's my obs gone? There it is. I've been using the same obs all day, and now I can't find the barcode amongst the list. There we go. Alright, so drones are going to find this. Dark is aware of what's going on. Will the barracks get up? One SCV is already going to be killed. The first barracks will finish. Second SCV will be able to start on barracks number 2. And barracks number 3 is still building on the high ground. So we're making some progress on these barracks still. That SCV is staying in the corner. He's microing it to stay in the corner as well, to guarantee that this barracks does eventually get up, which is obviously just a cute additional little bit of movement. Marine gets out, just sits behind, and the drone on the high ground has to back away for a moment. These are 4 drones that have just not mined this entire time, which is a factor as well. Now, 2 Marines on the way. We will finish this barracks. Oh my god, we're going to pull more drones. This is not the time to try and free those Marines. The barracks gets back down to the drones. Oh no, the drones are in. It's not a good enough fight anyways. Uh-oh, Dark. How much trouble are we in here? I think a little bit too much, no? I think a little bit too much, actually. As that was a big drone pull to not really do much. And now the Marines with a few SCVs are going to come forward. And this is where we're really going to see if Dark can find a hold. 12, 14 Lings on the way. He's bought himself some time. I was mostly worried about how much mining he's lost during this. But maybe for the moment it doesn't seem so bad. Although this is 6 Marines already showing up as these Lings are trying to get a fight. Obviously on creep they get a little bit of a speed boost. Makes life a little bit easier in getting the catch. He's going back across. Going to start onto that spine for a few more moments. As our Lings will continue to take some shots. Couple of SCVs going down. Marines still coming forward, putting some pressure on. Oh, that's going to be a defense, though, isn't it? Dark is going to push it back. Man, this is a really weird game. Obviously, with the drones finding it and pulling, and then not really stopping, then the bigger drone pull into the Marines surviving. Marines are just out of the front. Couple queens and a spine crawler. Going to be set there waiting, as you do see our drones, our queens, all being built up still. So just bringing all of this in. Extractor's going to be finishing in a few moments as well. Just trying to keep an eye on where everything is at. Just going to be still building these Marines. We are expanding though, so it's not going to be like a continued all-in or anything from our Terran player. Just still has these barracks here and is still going to build the Marines to at least put some pressure on for a little while. few drones, Queen being brought up as well. And just as we've already seen a little bit of. Roach run now on the way from Dark 2. Not a bad choice when you just want to ensure your safety in the early stages. I think a Roach run's one of the best things you can probably do. So we do begin to move into that. The Spine Crawler just about halfway done as well, as our few Marines will continue to fight for a little while. They are just going to try and bust down this spine. It is going to fall. The drones will actually have to pull here. And we're actually going to lose a couple of drones. Like I say, this is not super committed from Cure because he doesn't have... You know, he still has an expansion back at home. He might be giving up his Marines, but he's going to get some value out of it, especially now as he kills some workers. We'll just lessen the gap between the two in terms of worker count. Always nice as come back across to the edge here as well. Going to chip at that hatchery a little bit longer. Knocks the Overlord down also. We're still getting a little bit of something extra out of this. Marine's going to get back onto that hatchery. A couple of roaches are going to pull in. Going to be seeing our Marines still getting chased away. A couple of roaches latching on. CC coming up. The barracks coming through. Marines and refineries are still being produced here. Just for the moment. So all of that coming out as... It looks as though we're finally going to back away with this Marine production. These barracks are going to fly out of here now in Grezvan. Dark going to keep on building roaches. Bunkers back at home to keep QF safe. Is going to be the plan at least. See if that will succeed or not fairly soon. Both those bunkers just going to finish up. Just going to be seeing another bunker coming across. Really wants to ensure these roaches cannot break in. And I think he's got enough to make sure that that's the case. I don't think this is going anywhere. Those few Marines will gather up and jump in and keep themselves fairly safe for the moment. As a couple of orbital commands continue to put in some work for the moment as well. Stimming combat shields, producing through. And this Cure. He's going to have some roaches and ravages really looking to break down these bunkers. He's going to commit here. As SCVs pull. Roach Ravager tries to get set. Again, guys, the stuttering is the in-game stuttering. I can't do anything about it. It's just my server connection to Korea is not very good right now. There's our Marines in the bunker number 1. Gonna get a repair here with the SCVs. Pulls the rest of the SCVs. It will die, right? This bunker eventually, especially with the next round of battles. Although we got some more SCVs on the case. Okay, it lasted a while though, to be fair. Longer than I expected. Means just chilling out. Roach Ravager joining up. Drones producing from Dark behind this. He's actually down a lot of workers because he committed to all of these Ravagers and Roaches, but yeah, he's going to play catch-up now. My main concern, I suppose, is going to be the fact that obviously this is a, you know, a Q who's about to have stim and combat shield, so he's going to have a much more powerful Bioforce than Dark might be expecting. Be a problem. Uses the auto attack there to get the extra bit of damage necessarily. SCVs are going to wrap around. The bunker's going to go down again. Our Marine's still pressing forward. Mobiles. And for the moment, this army is still being kept at bay as our stim pack finishes up. The additional Marines are all coming through. We have got the lair building in the main base, the 3rd CC coming out. No, 3rd hatchery, sorry, coming out on Dark side. But it's only just started alongside the lair at 8 minutes now. Just gonna go see our couple hatches on the way, so actually going to double expand, which obviously makes sense as well if you feel like you're going to be a bit behind. Going to base 3 and 4 at the same time definitely makes sense. I'm actually terrified for Dark if Kyo gets across the map with these first 2 medevacs. It feels like he's going to have a lot of stuff. Sundrax is going to load up. Marine's going to start moving forward. Ravagers collecting together here as we do have the 1-1 missile upgrades coming through. The Roach speed coming through. Go this little group of Marines up to the top for the moment. He's going to come through. We're going to actually go for a couple of Ravages, but there's just too much here. I really feel as though the larger fight would have been actually the go-to for Kua that would have maybe succeeded. He's going to stim into this base. So one of these hatcheries will fall. There's no medevacs to support these Marines, so we'll just get that kill. And they will back away. But that's at least going to keep Dark on just 3 bases instead of the 4 he was trying to skip ahead to. Roaches and Ravages continue in. The medevacs in the main base have not found too much else. Yes, this is scary, right? Losing a few Marines as you try to retreat away. The couple tanks trying to get forward. Going to be able to maybe set up something of a siege of their own to try and hold that forward position should it become a little bit more concerning or so. Third CC on location, fourth CC on location from Kua really is a little bit of a statement as well, isn't it? Like, talk about, you know, confidence. He's just like, hey, look, 4th base, they're right here, guys. Yeah, I'm not afraid of you, Doc. To be fair, you had all the Marines on the map. I mean, it makes sense to believe you can hold that position. You shouldn't have your opponent really be able to do much about it, especially when he's playing Roaches. Would have been a very long-winded counter-attack path to try and take advantage of that CC building with some Roaches going around the other direction. Ravages coming about. Medevac going to keep an eye on things overhead for a little bit. There's a lot of Ravages morphing in from Dark on the bottom side. Our Marines will come through. They'll knock down a Roach to begin with. Going to find a morphing Ravager. All these Ravagers finish up. What a way to guarantee that Dark's about to attack you. If all those units just finished morphing, it's pretty much just a guarantee that this attack is coming. Especially Ravagers, because you don't have to build Ravagers until you're about to use them, right? So, yeah. Let's see what Kua can do defensively. He's got a good amount of supply, mind you. I think there should be a hold possibility from him. Maybe it's not guaranteed, but you can see how it can happen as he is fighting on both sides so far pretty nicely. Marines are holding out with the tank line staying strong. Looks good for Kua. Ravages will continue to go in after these few extra SCVs. A few Marines coming through, a couple of Ravages going down. Marines will continue about, just going to be seeing the scan coming now, +2/+2 missiles and carapace all coming in. And just continue to see those 2/2 upgrades coming out. Tanks, Marines, and Marauders are all producing. And again, Infinite Station Pit and the Baneling Nest coming out also right now. And Dark's been so committed to Roach Ravager, we're just now seeing Ling Speed, Lings, Banes. Well, the first Lings are going to spawn with no Ling Speed, so they're going to be a little bit slow and maybe ineffective at really getting anything done as our Bioforce comes forward a little bit. Roach Ravager's going to go sitting out there, Hive coming through, the Ling Speed's halfway done. And Bio going to come straight forward and go after a couple of these Crypt Jammers. Roach or 2 getting picked off also. Army just going to go chilling out. We are going to see this force of Roach Ravager looking to move through. Roach is going to come in. Lings are going to get going. Force comes up. We're just going to go straight into this Roach Ravager. A few battles coming down. We split away from that as Bioforce continues to trade out. Dark just can't fight it. There's just too much bio. It's just too powerful. Kua is able to punch through in the end. What a weird game. The way the proxy rack started out and how that all planned out was kind of fascinating, honestly. Definitely an interesting way to start this game off and continued on from there. GG's.